Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Today is Thursday, January 20th. Got some news today. As of this moment, henceforth, this podcast has now been bought by Microsoft, and for the total of $20, and it's now being funded, produced, and now pretty much controlled by Microsoft and Bill Gates now. So, you will now hear from me through as I am just a gateway or a mouth from Microsoft now, and Bill Gates and Phil Spencer. So that basically what I'm saying is all I'm ever going to talk about nowadays is just how much I love Microsoft and I appreciate the Xbox. And you will never hear anything about any PlayStation. No God of War talk here. That is now forbidden. No, Crash Bandicoot will be forbidden. Actually, no, that's now an Xbox exclusive, potentially. But from this moment henceforth, this podcast will now be owned and run by Microsoft Game Studios and Phil Spencer. Please don't fire me. But moving on, it's not really bought. It was just a kind of a joke. But I guess we can talk about that big news right now. Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. If you're not really aware of what Activision are or Blizzard are, they are the people that make video games, much like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Overwatch. They make all those games, Candy Crush, and they were just purchased by Microsoft for I believe like $68 or $69 billion actually. And so that was just some big news that dropped a couple days ago in the gaming universe. And I haven't really been, around anybody or talked to anybody too much about it. And I kind of wanted to know, like, is this going to be, is it official? Is it happening right as we speak? As I'm recording this, like, what's the deal with that? So apparently it's not fully done yet. And apparently it's going to take like about a little over a year for it to be fully completed, the purchase. And I was just thinking like, well, for one, I'm super excited about that because maybe, just maybe, Call of Duty might be a better product. For the first time in maybe a couple years, it might be actually a good game to buy or purchase. And two, I was thinking, like, is this going to be a monopoly? Is this going to be too big? Is it going to be massive? Is it going to be essentially unfair? Because if you know this, they recently bought Bethesda last year for a much lower price, I believe. I can't remember how much it was, but it was much lower than what they paid for Activision Blizzard. But there's been talks and there's been people thinking and people, not conspiring or just like kind of wondering what's going to happen with, the future of gaming. Maybe not even just gaming, maybe just entertainment in general, like video game home entertainment, I guess you could say, with this purchase. Because, they've already bought, like I said, Bethesda, and they've already gone to say that this purchase, that purchase of Bethesda will have Starfield being an Xbox and PC exclusive, meaning buy PlayStation, you're not going to get any new Bethesda games. Maybe not, the best ones, maybe a couple, but like essentially, they're actually, I don't even know if they're going to be getting any more Bethesda games out there. So in terms of this, this pleasing people, this making people angry, for me, I'm an Xbox man. I'm an Xbox product user, consumer. I'm an Xbox stan. I'm an Xbox fanboy. I'm an Xbox simp. I'm an Xbox shell. And so that's just good for me. Now I know that there's other people out there that like to be neutral and they like to, root for both parties, Xbox and PlayStation, and, dabble a little bit in PC. Which is essentially, Xbox too. But I do wonder now how this moves, how Sony moves on from this, and how that's gonna shift the not just the like I said, console wars, but like just the games in general, and how it's going to shake things up. Because I certainly don't think that PlayStation really has a chance here now. I mean, it seems whack. It seems a bit premature to say that, but I just don't think that there's any real chance that they, maybe not in the next few years, like maybe the next 2 years, maybe not, but maybe down the road when, if this deal does get done, and without the claims of monopolization, which, could be a possibility. But if we look back at other companies buying other companies, I mean, back when Disney bought Star Wars, and then when Disney bought the Fox, 20th Century Fox, I mean, those were essentially also like considered like that could be a monopoly. Like Disney's just owning everything now. They own like Pixar, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Fox. They can pretty much own make a movie about any Marvel property now. Is essentially theirs, except for Spider-Man and all that. But like, I mean, is it going to be too big? And I think that if that didn't get blocked, if the Disney one did not get blocked, I'm pretty sure that this one will be fine, and this one will go through. Now, thinking about it more and more as it's been announced, is it possible that we could see Call of Duty in the future be an Xbox and PC exclusive? Now, that game has been on both platforms, and even on PC, and even on the GameCubes back in the day, the Wii, the DS, the DS Lite, all those iterations, the Switch, I believe, has a Call of Duty. That's been a multi-platform game forever, and ever and ever. And like that's one of like the most best-selling games usually every year is a Call of Duty. One of the Call of Duties makes it usually the number one seller in any game out there. It doesn't matter what it goes up against. It always sells big, and it always sells massive every single year. So part of me thinks that, they could keep it an exclusive, but I think that if they just make it, to everybody, and and sell it to everybody, I mean, you're just going to be making their money, but it's the same money that they're making, but it's going to be yours now because you bought the company, and they already make so much money. It's like I don't see a real big reason for them to make it an exclusive. Now, if they wanted to make it so the world is run by Xboxes and Microsoft, they absolutely could make it an exclusive and make it only for the Xbox and PC. Now, that would be insane. I mean, that would be crazy because I just can't picture. Even though I've been on Xbox my entire life, I can't imagine like all these games that I already listed just being on a Xbox and PC only. I can't. I just. It's hard for me to believe that. And there's already talks about having like maybe they can put World of Warcraft and all those games on Xbox Game Pass, make those compatible with the Xbox. And I'm not a big player of those games, so I don't really care about that. Maybe if they made like a spin-off game that was a bit cooler, in my opinion. I'm just not a big fan of the layout and the gameplay of World of Warcraft. So it's never really got my attention. So I don't know. Maybe that could happen. Maybe that could be a thing in the future. But in terms of what is actually going to be an exclusive or not, I mean, I'm not going to say definitively that Call of Duty will be an exclusive. But if they do that, holy shit, that's a big gamble. That's a huge gamble because, first of all, you're going to alienate an entire demographic of gamers on the PlayStation, and it's going to be like, I don't even know like the numbers of which console has more players on Call of Duty or not, but I just would think that it's like, this is just insane of how much they're taking over, and it's like it all kind of like brings me back to remember those E3s that like maybe 5 or 6 years ago they were gonna like really focus on bringing new games to the Xbox and exclusives and buying new studios and really ramping up the game production and the gameplay and preserving games and having Game Pass and all that and all that jazz. Well, it's actually really coming into fruition now. Like this is actually like what like Phil Spencer had imagined, like how we play video games and how we treat video games. And essentially he's saying like, why don't we just have one port, one platform, one service where you can play any game you ever wanted. old, new, and you can play it under our umbrella of the Xbox and Microsoft and PC Game Pass. Like, this is going to be it. This is like the penultimate, like essentially like his dream of what he's always wanted with video games. And it's like now that with this recent purchase, I just think that this is his dream come true. This is it. Like, there's like nothing that I can pick out or think that is this going to be a different idea? Is it a different project? No, this is like what he's always wanted, is to have every game, like pretty much every game available that you can just play whenever you want. And listen, I mean, you might not be a huge fan of like the older games, and maybe you just want to play new games, or maybe you want to play Fortnite or whatever game that you're playing at the moment. But having that ability to play older games, like back in the Xbox 360, even Xbox, the first Xbox, or even before that, I know that Game Pass has like the classic Doom on there. That's like I'm pretty sure that was like during the PC times when that was the only way you can play that game. But it's just like it's all coming into fruition of like his dream of what he wanted and how he's always seen it like, in his vision. It's like, oh my God, Phil Spencer is like the game god. Like he's just making a giant kingdom of video games and all that. And it's just crazy. I mean, could you imagine if he actually thought it, like he went to like, I don't know, whoever runs Microsoft now, it's not Bill Gates, but imagine if he went to like the head of Microsoft is like, what if we bought Sony? Like, just, let's just buy Sony right now. And I'm like thinking like that could never happen, because Sony's not just a computer product. They also make games and movies and all that like that. That would probably never ever happen. I mean, I'm saying that now, but they just bought Activision Blizzard, so what do I know? That could happen tomorrow. That could happen next month. Who knows? But it's going to be cool. At least for me. I mean, if you're PlayStation, and like, you're probably nervous right now because you just bought a PS5 and you just bought, if you're a Call of Duty fan, like the next one's going to be cool, the one after that's going to be cool. It's like, well, hold on a bit. Maybe you got to pump the brakes. Maybe I got to buy the new Xbox, or maybe, just maybe I might not be able to play these new games in the future, depending on what's going to happen. And it's like, does Sony buy EA? Does Sony buy any other studio to compete with that? Because, I mean, Bethesda, Activision Blizzard, I mean, those are like some of the three giants actually, that rule the gaming industry. I mean, like, there's no bigger game usually every year than a Call of Duty. There just isn't. I mean, in terms of like, player, sales, player count, stream viewers and all that, how much they view the game, how many eyeballs the game drags to it. I mean, there's just league play, celebrities playing, celebrity streaming, deals, endorsements. There's a lot of stuff that is produced out of that you can get out of a Call of Duty game every single year. So for them to score that is just, it's insane. I mean, like, I hope what happens is, obviously that there's a lot of stuff going on with Activision Blizzard in terms of the leadership there. So, and I'm sure that's going to get cleaned out, like, from the minute that's actually, they acquire them. If it goes through, that they're just going to clean everybody out and, separate everybody and just like kind of like, okay, you're going to work there, we're going to fire you, we're going to do this with you. We're going to let you go, stuff like that, And I kind of wish that, I mean, I hope it's for the better, because as a Call of Duty player right now, and a Call of Duty fan, and mainly for Warzone, like, I don't give a shit about Vanguard. I don't think anybody does, but in the terms of Warzone and its state on console, I mean, I don't think that I have to, preface this any better, but the game is just straight up unplayable. And I'm not just talking Warzone, but I'm talking Warzone, Vanguard, Modern Warfare multiplayer, all essentially pretty much, no, I'll just say it, unplayable. Why? Because on console, at least with the Xbox Series X in my case, I deal with nothing but crashes and glitches and stuttering and lag on some games, and just straight up not even playable. Maps and modes, and it's just annoying. And usually it's a crash. Like, I'll be playing a game. I was playing yesterday with my friend, and we were playing Gunfight on Modern Warfare because, that's just what we like to do. We play a couple games, and we back out. And if you click the Xbox home button and you click, you open it, check your friends out, see what they're playing, then you click B to, back out of it, it will straight up crash the entire game. It'll turn the screen black, it will freeze it, and then it'll go back to the boot up screen where it just shows the logo of the game and just booting up again. So that's a big problem, and that's been happening for like the past couple weeks now. And not just on, Modern Warfare, but also Vanguard and Warzone. So whatever is happening with that, I know this is kind of a rift on, the game's state right now, but I think that it should be really actually, talked about. Because not a lot of people are chapping it up, because a lot of people play on PC, but they forget about the core of the audience. The majority of the game players, I believe, are on console. So like, you gotta help us out here. I don't understand why the PC gets the best version of the game of all time, and we just get some rinky-dink put together bullshit that can barely fucking run. It just doesn't make any sense. I understand that there's capabilities on the PC that you can't achieve on console. I understand that, but why does it feel like every time you update it or you do something to it, it's so pristine and better on the PC, but for the console, it's just like it's like neglected. Like, they don't even do anything about it, and it never gets fixed on until like they finish with the PC stuff. It makes no sense. It's like, I want better leadership at Activision Blizzard, especially with Call of Duty. I mean, you're a AAA game. You're a Call of Duty, and you're having this much trouble getting your game together and put together and actually working. I don't think that that's okay. It just isn't okay. Like, and this has been going on since, shoot, I mean, it's been getting progressively worse since they updated Caldera back on like December 8th, I believe, December 7th. It's just been getting worse and worse. So it's like, I don't understand why this continues to happen. And the fact that it just feels like there's no end in sight, there's no real big update coming, there's nothing changed, there's nothing happening. It's just, am I just supposed to deal with it and just, take it with a grain of salt or take it up my ass? I mean, what am I supposed to do here? It's becoming so repetitive and so just like, I just have no faith now. So hopefully, like, this purchase, this acquisition, their new bosses and Phil Spencer actually, step up their, quality. Actually, now that they're now essentially, if it goes through, they'll be working under Microsoft and not just Activision and Blizzard. Yeah, hopefully that they can actually get better. I know that I sound mad. I am mad, but I just want it to be better. I'm tired of them saying like, we know you're tired of this. We know that the game is not where we want it to be. Have patience, but it's like, how much patience do you want us to have though? It's like, why are we paying you this much money to do a mediocre job, and a job that sometimes you probably aren't even capable of doing? It's like, why are you hired? Why these developers, these executives, all of them? Like, why are you in that position? You're not qualified for this job. And I know that I'm not a developer or an executive or somebody who's ever stepped foot in the gaming industry, but I can smell bullshit a mile away. And with these dumbass statements and these tweets that get put out, it's like, are you telling the social media guy everything that's happening? Are you telling the social media guy like everything? Because he is getting directly, not harassed, but he's getting like the direct feedback from the community and the players and the fans. So I want better. I want a better company, a better leadership, accountability for your mistakes. And hopefully this makes it better. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to go through. It might be blocked. But if it does, we can just hope that it's just going to be a new light in gaming, because I'm not saying that everything that Microsoft or Phil Spencer touches turns to gold, but it certainly is better now. Xbox is in a much better place than it was as it is now than it was like maybe 6 years ago when it was the other guy, Don Matrick, who had no idea what he was doing at Xbox the entire time. So maybe it's just the hot hand, like you feed the hot hand, like Phil Spencer is the hot hand at the moment of gaming. He just kind of gets it. He knows what he's doing, and he seems like he's, speaking sincere when it comes to video games and gamers and fans and consumers as well. So it all kind of like feels like this is going in the right direction. It might be weird right now. It might suck right now, especially if you're a PlayStation fan or a Sony fan. I mean, hey, if he wanted exclusives, if you can't beat them, you buy them. You know what I'm saying? He bought Activision, he bought Blizzard, he bought Bethesda, he bought it all, and they're all gonna be under the Xbox banner now, and on Game Pass probably day one. Who knows? I mean, we live in a new age, man. We're living in a new age where, I hope that it's better though. But moving on. But I think that the games, in terms of Microsoft buying them, overall, it's a bit of a shock. It's a bit of a shock. It feels like, like it does feel like this is a bit of a takeover. And it feels like there's a bit of a, when you first hear it, it's like, oh shoot, this is massive news, because it just feels bigger than video games now. It feels bigger than console wars. It feels bigger than, the war between Xbox and PlayStation. It's just like now we're going for the content. Who's going to have the better content on your console? And, like I said before, it was like, who's got a better looking console? Who's got the more powerful console? Who's got the more, the cooler controller, the cooler design, the cooler, more ports, better power input, not putting out as much heat. But now it's just like, who's got the better games? And for all this time, I even still say it to this day, you couldn't compete with the PlayStation 3 and the PS4 exclusives back then, because as much as you want to, fight it, as much as you want to deny it, story games still sell so much and make so much money because we love stories, and that's just that. And aside from Halo and Gears of War, I think Microsoft has not been one to make that many good story games. Well, now they don't really have to make it necessarily more story games, just have the more popular games like Call of Duty and Fallout, or Call of Duty and Skyrim or Elder Scrolls. So that's just going to be who's got more of a variety, I guess, is what's going to happen. Who's got the better game catalog? And at that moment, even to this day, right now is I think Xbox, and it's just going to grow even more when they fully acquire Activision and Blizzard. I mean, it's going to be insane. It almost feels like I just like watched a console, a company in Sony get put into the grave. It kind of feels like that. I know they're not dead yet, but it just feels like, oh, this is just another nail in the coffin. First it was Bethesda, now Activision Blizzard, because it's not going to be good. It's going to be crazy though. I saw an ad a couple days ago, and it was for a new show. It was a Paramount show on Paramount Plus. And I don't watch too much of Paramount Plus, to be honest with you. I have it, but I don't watch a whole ton of it. But I saw an ad for it, on TV. And it was an ad for the next influencer, or the next big influencer, which was like a reality-style TV show with a bunch of, like 18-year-old, 17-year-old kids that are like, I believe that they were just like, in like a house making videos, making TikToks, and like, who's going to be the next influencer? It's like, why are we making a show about that? I mean, will anybody actually watch that? Like, anybody today that is around the age of like 18 to 22, are you even watching Paramount Plus? Are you even watching Netflix for that kind of stuff? Are you watching I don't know, like whatever those shows come on Like, are you interested in watching a show about influencers or potential influencers, like be in drama and all that stuff? Like, who is that show for? And are they going to be even? Are they even going to watch it? Because it just feels like, I think that kind of form of media, like the reality TV show, like the Kardashian style TV, or like the Survivor reality TV, or The Bachelor, in my opinion, is just not as popular as it used to be. Especially like the Kardashian stuff. Like that kind of reality TV just kind of went out the door, I think. Just not as interesting as it used to be. Not as gripping, I think, that it is as it used to be. Because I just think that there's a big there's a big gap in between where you're going to find entertainment nowadays, and how entertainment is changing and shifting. We have movies. We got a traditional 2-hour movie, which I love and adore, and I never want it to go away, whether it be in the theater. I actually prefer the theater. I think I got the TV show, which is like, maybe it could be broad from like 1 or 2 seasons to like maybe 5 or 6, depending on the show. And that's always like, great, because they usually get like 10 episodes a season, tons of hours of content. Depending on what show you watch, maybe it could be even more. And, if it's good, it's good. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm into this. And then we got YouTube and videos like that, where it's just like maybe not as long, but it's easy to just, keep going through YouTube and finding other things. Then you got TikTok, and then you got podcast, and then you have reality TV. In my opinion, is just kind of different from everything else. It's just kind of like more of a reality, and like just like it's not as, like, for me, in my opinion, not as gripping. And it's not as like it's not something that I want to watch, in my opinion, too. I don't want to watch any rich people in real life, worry about TikTok views, or like, I don't know, YouTube views and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of feels like, why would I watch your life? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been a big fan of watching people's vlogs either. Like, it's just like, it's never really been my cup of tea to watch somebody live their life on a camera, or with a camera. I don't know why that is, but I've never felt that. Clearly, I'm not I'm in the minority, because those videos get so many views. I remember back in the day, Casey Neistat would get like so many views on like a vlog that he did. Like, and he used to do like daily vlogs, I believe. Like, I remember I just would see that guy on every time I went to YouTube. I would just see Casey Neistat making, it's like, I never thought that was even his job back then too. I was like, wait. So this guy just videotapes himself riding to work on a skateboard and, doing something on his computer, and like, that's about it. Going home and then eating dinner, and that's it. And then that was his job? Like, back then, and back in like, I don't know, 2011, 2010, when that was popular, maybe like 2013, I was like, that's his job? I was like blown away. Like that like YouTube was actually paying him to make that kind of stuff. I was like, wow, this is insane. And then, like, you get to, like, I think that podcasts, in general, are, like, probably the more authentic types of entertainment out there. One, because it's not scripted. Usually they're not scripted. And two, like, it's actually, like, not being regulated by any other, a studio. Usually it's not, or it's usually, like, you're yourself doing the podcast, or you and a couple people doing the podcast. You can talk about whatever you want. Talk about whatever you feel. Talk, however you want. In any way that you want. And just kind of like that freedom, I think. That freedom of stuff that you can say and can't say in terms of TV versus podcasts, and versus YouTube versus TikTok and all that. Podcasts, for me, have become one of my leading forms of entertainment and media consumption. Because, one, I can just listen to it, throw it in the back, if I'm in a car, if I'm doing something, and put my headphones in and just listen to it. If I wanted to watch it, I could. But, just consuming the podcast is just, it's become one of the more, my more used, or, I guess watched, or not watched, consumed forms of media, depending on what you listen to, what you're into. And, there's so many podcasts out there that you can pick and choose from. It's like, I mean, and then also, video games as well. That's also like one of the things too. And it's just, I'm just thinking about like, we live in a world where there's like endless forms of media, endless forms of entertainment, and endless forms of like just like, keeping yourself like, I guess, entertained or busy, I guess you could say. To the fact like it's almost impossible for anybody to keep up with anything nowadays. Like it's just like you watch one show, you watch another show, you listen to a podcast, maybe you're watching a movie or something. Maybe you want to watch something on YouTube. Maybe you want to listen to a song. I mean, when's the last time like you just like blocked off some time to listen to music? Usually like when I do stuff, I'm listening to a podcast, but like, and after I'm like, all right, maybe I don't want to listen to a podcast right now. And you ever just listen to music? Like just like to, like a song, maybe an album, maybe a few albums, a few songs. It's actually quite enjoyable. I haven't done that in like quite some time. You just, usually if like you listen to music, it's like you're doing something, you're working out, whatever. Maybe you're driving or something if you don't want to listen to a podcast. But like listening to music is one of like the better forms of like, I guess maybe it's like very therapeutic. It's very relaxing. It could also pump you up and stuff like that. So it's like one of the better things that you can do. If you're bored, I guess, and just have nothing to talk about. But yeah, I guess we can move on to the NFL. If I sound a little congested, I was working in my garage today, and I had to clean it out, and I got just a ton of dust, everywhere because garage was a mess. But it's getting better. I had to clean it up, but that's why. If you're wondering why I'm so congested and why am I sniffling a bit, because dust and allergies, popping up. Especially when you're working in a garage that's dusty as shit. So that's just gonna happen. All right, so let's break down Super Wildcard Weekend. All right, everybody, we're going to break down the Super Wildcard Weekend in the NFL that we just had. Incredible games. Well, actually a couple, but some of them weren't that good. But, now we're getting more into the divisional round. The playoff picture is looking set. I am super excited. And let's just dive right in because it was a full weekend of football. And you know what's great about this is I can watch every single game live and at once. As much as I love Red Zone, if I have a full slate of games like from 10 and then at 1 and then at 5, that's just the best for me. That's the best. And we got that this weekend. So starting off with the Raiders at the Bengals. Bengals defeated the Raiders 26-19. That was a pretty good game, I will say. Competitive from both teams. You thought that the Raiders were going to fade away towards the end. They didn't do that. They just kind of kept fighting back and kept fighting. And, that's just what you want to see in football and football teams nowadays, especially now, because you know that the playoffs are on the line. Your futures are on the line. Your contracts are on the line. You want to play good for the team. You want to play the best you can play because, this is what you work for. You work for a chance to get into the playoffs. And both these two teams have not had, much success in the playoffs ever. Especially like within the last, even just like the past decade has been pretty rough for these two teams. But a good game. It was but it was a good game. It was fun, energetic. Both quarterbacks wanted to win so bad. But I felt that the Bengals were just a better put together team. They had better receivers, better running back, just a better defense. And I feel like this stat was brought up a couple times by Mike Tirico. I think that it was that the Raiders have had the worst red zone defense since 2000 something. Early 2000s. They've had the worst red zone defense. And he was not wrong. that defense, that Raider defense, that just for some reason just gets beat every single time in the red zone. And I know that their defense is pretty banged up, but still, I mean, once it's playoff time and players got to step up, all the stats and all the the skill and all that kind of just goes away, and you just play your ass off. You should be playing your ass off because that's just what it's all about. What sports is all about, and how you want to present yourself as an athlete and as a professional. But Joe Burrow played amazing. Derek Carr played pretty well too, but just not well enough to win the game. Unfortunately for the Raiders fans. Joe Mixon played well. Jamar Chase played excellent, even though he didn't have a touchdown. But the Raiders ran the ball pretty well, though, I thought, though. But they kind of abandoned it towards the end. Not as much as I thought that they would. But just not really, quite there yet. Renfro was pretty good. Waller was okay, but really, the Bengals just eked them out. They got lucky at the end. They didn't get lucky. They just kind of stopped them towards the end. And the last throw by Derek Carr, though, I want to talk about that because that throw, and I'm not like a Derek Carr basher. I'm not like a Derek Carr hater. I know some people are, but I'm just not there yet with him. I still think that he's a good quarterback, but it's just towards the end of the games when you need to make a great play, and you there's no room for error. You got to make the play to try to win the game. It never really falls for him. It never really goes his way. I don't know what it is, or if it's mental, or if it's just bad communication. I'm not sure, but it just never seems to go his way ever. And in this case, he throws a ball. It's fourth down. This is it. This is the game. You got to score. And if you get a touchdown and then you got to kick the extra point, you tie the game. But the ball wasn't even in the end zone when he threw it. He just kind of threw it at the 1 yard line. It's why are you calling a play that is not in the end zone at that point? I mean, I don't understand. You're going to try to get your receiver to fight for a couple yards, and it's just no, just hit somebody in the end zone. I mean, that would have just a much better, opportunity to win, but it's just they didn't do it. Bad play call, and it's just this can't just be on Derek Carr. This can't be. It's got to be on the offensive coordinator, the head coach, the preparation. I don't know what it was. Who was out there on the field? I mean, it didn't seem like it was planned properly. And then when it happened, it was just okay, whatever. And just kind of they just walked off the field all right, we lost, see ya. Okay, whatever. I mean, it was a good game, though. Don't get me wrong. It was a good game, but it was just it could have been a lot better. And, being from California and my father being a Raider fan, I was rooting for them to move on because of his happiness and his joy for that to continue, but unfortunately that just didn't happen. And it felt like it was due for them, but it also felt like it was even more due for the Bengals, having never won a playoff game for, I believe, 30 years, I think. And then you just think about that. Remember all those years with Andy Dalton and Marvin Lewis? They never won a single playoff game. They've always looked pretty good. And when they would make it, okay, they're going to win at least one of these playoff games. They never won one. So the fact that also Joe Burrow can be in his second season and lead them to the divisional round is pretty epic. It's pretty epic. But you know what? I'll say this, though. I actually kind of wanted it to end for the Bengals this year, only because I wanted to protect Joe Burrow. Because after last year, when he went down with his ACL, he came back this year and he's been playing awesome. I don't want it. I have a fear that if you get injured in the NFL, injured once, it's just, after that, it's just an avalanche of injuries. Avalanche. And he got one of the worst injuries you can possibly get. And I was just this entire year, please don't let this kid get hurt. Because he's going to be one of the future franchise quarterbacks in the NFL. He's going to be, inspiring to all younger quarterbacks out there after that. I was just praying and hoping, please don't let this guy get another injury, because like I said, it just feels when somebody gets an injury, I guess significant one, they just never stop. It just keeps on going. Just kind of a fear of the player safety like that. Moving on though, The Bills beat the Patriots 47-17. Like, listen, this wasn't even competitive. This wasn't even competitive. It was just an absolute shit show, to be honest with you, if you're a Patriots fan. I mean, the Bills had it all this game. It was like a perfect game. Defense, offense, special teams, Josh Allen, Devin Singletary, Dawson Knox, they all just went off. I mean, Josh Allen went for 21 for 25, 308 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, just an absolute perfect game. And not one of them was to Stephon Diggs, which shows you that this guy has so much talent and that team is so talented, and it's finally coming together, by the way. They're finally getting hot and coming together, and I know that the record isn't the best at 11-6, but it's just like, I mean, you play who's in front of you. It doesn't matter who you play in the past, who you beat in the past, who you lost in the past. It truly doesn't matter. All that matters is who you play, who's in front of you. And the fact that they were able to beat the Patriots by this much, for one, shows me that the Patriots are not ready yet. If that means that they got to get a better defense, if Mac Jones needs more time to develop, which I believe is mainly the case. But yeah, just like the defense could not stop Josh Allen. I mean, not just him throwing the ball, but he was running all over the place at this game. Like, just running and up and down the field, zipping and zapping. It was just, I mean, it wasn't like he was like Lamar Jackson, though. Like, just like so much faster. He was just gutting them left and right. Like, and they were just so deflated that it looked even worse. The Patriots defense looked just so deflated after that. Like, they couldn't stop him. And yeah. But, you know, for the Patriots case, I mean, they did go 10-7, which isn't terrible. I mean, they still made the playoffs, and they actually got a lot of people talking, like myself, like maybe the Patriots are actually a great team. Turns out that they're not. But, you know, that's okay. You know, they were a fun talking point in this season, and maybe they will be back next year. Who knows? You know, Mac Jones can only get better. They can only improve their team, especially that defense. They can only get better. I mean, like, it's just, there's a lot of hope for that team, but now that the Bills have, you know, kind of slumped this year, not been as good as they were last year, but kind of got beat up a bit. They kind of got saying, you know what, maybe you're not as good as you were last year, so you got to prove it. You got to beat other teams this year, and maybe you're going to lose to a couple teams that you should not have lost to, like the Jaguars, but like, this is going to make you a better football team. And I feel like now, in the position that they're in, they've gotten a lot better. They seem to be on the hot streak, and they got all the momentum on their side. I just kind of feel like this is now, and the Bills are a threat to the Chiefs next week, which is going to be an insane game. Next, we got Buccaneers beat the Eagles 31-15. I mean, like, towards the after 3 quarters, it was 31-0, and like the Eagles scored a quick 2 touchdowns, you know, quick 15 points, and you thought like, oh, they're making a push, but it was nothing. It was nothing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this was, you know, not a good game. I mean, I didn't watch most of it because I saw just, you know, how much it was. And Tom Brady was just being Tom Brady. And the whole thing about him losing to the Eagles in the Super Bowl, to Nick Foles, that whole, you know, superstitious bad luck type of vibes going on. Like, oh, is he going to beat the Eagles now? Can he still beat the Eagles? Yes, he absolutely can beat the Eagles. I mean, this was just not even really competitive. And it just shows you that, you know, the Buccaneers are just the better team, you know, through and through, just better, and not, you know, really having any issue with the Eagles. So I still think that the Packers are better than the Bucs, but, you know, I mean, we'll see. There was a good victory. They're going to be going back to Tampa, and, you know, we'll see, because they definitely have not been as invincible that they were last year. The Buccaneers, they've had a little bit more hiccups, I think, this year, especially with you know, no AB and all that. But, you know, we'll see what's going to happen next week. I'm going to skip that game for now. I'll come back to it later. The Steelers, The Chiefs-Steelers game, Chiefs beat the Steelers 42-21. I mean, I tweeted about this before the Steelers decided to try and score, which was just stupid to me. Them trying like that hard at the end just to put some points on the board is just in my opinion just kind of silly. And it's like, what are you playing for, pride? Like, what is this? Like, you're going home anyways. Like, nobody thought that you were, even gonna contend really. I tweeted that the Steelers should have not made the playoffs, and I am not apologizing for it. I think that the Raiders and the Chargers should have tied. That way we kept this shit show out of the playoffs, because they added another team to the playoffs. They expanded them. So, in that sense, you got teams like the Eagles and the Steelers in the playoffs when they probably shouldn't have been, and you got bad football games. I mean, this was just a bad football game. The fact that Alan Chris had to call this game and just see how much, it was bizarre because they went an entire first quarter not scoring, and then the Steelers took the lead with a T.J. Watt strip and scoop and score touchdown. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? And then the fucking Chiefs score 21 points in that same quarter, and it's like, all right, we're done here. This is over. And then they scored 14 more in the third, 7 in the fourth, and it was just like, well, why? And then the Steelers offense is so pathetic, was pathetic. I mean, mainly because they just couldn't throw the ball that well. And that's not because, I'm not shitting on Big Ben because he sucks, but Big Ben is just older. He's an older gentleman. He's injured probably. He's probably hurting. He's not as sharp as he used to be. He can't make the same throws as he did, 5 years ago. I mean, it's simple life. And look, listen, it's going to be harsh, but he held them back in these last couple games. He's got good receivers. He's got Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Freiermuth, and Najee Harris. He has a good offensive team, but it's just he can't get the ball to them. You think he could throw the ball to Speedy Claypool or Speedy Juju or fucking Freiermuth out there? No, he can't do that. He's too old to do it. It's just it's. Listen, I know I'm sounding harsh on Big Ben, but I enjoyed his final game in Pittsburgh. It was a good send-off. It was a fitting send-off. It was like, in my mind, that is going to be Big Ben's last game. I wanted that to be his last game. His last good memory. Maybe the one in Baltimore, actually, because they won that game. But I don't want to remember this game at all, ever, as his being his actual last game. I truly, truly don't, because it was just bad. It was just bad. Like, he threw a couple of good passes towards the end, but to sacrifice, to put Big Ben into the playoffs was just stupid. It was just dumb. It was just like, come on, man, just tie the game. I never wanted to tie more than my life watching that game. I was just like, oh, they should have tied. They should have tied. Why did they let these guys in? Moving on. Actually going to go back in time that same day. And the 49ers beat the Cowboys 23-17. Listen, that game was, whether you care, about the officiating at the end, the play calls at the end by Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, or, Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy G kind of fading away towards the end of the game. Not fading away as not trying, but oh my God, are they going to blow this game? Is Jimmy G going to blow this game for the 49ers? As a neutral fan, and actually rooting for the Cowboys because I wouldn't want to play the Niners if the Rams moved on. This was a fucking entertaining game. This was an awesome game. It had all the drama. It had all the penalties. It had all the setbacks. It had Dak, playing, coming back. It had Ezekiel Elliott playing like shit as he always does. It had Deebo Samuel going off. It had who was the rusher for the Niners? Elijah Mitchell just going off on the on the Cowboys, and it was awesome. I mean, who would have thought that the highest rusher on the Dallas Cowboys was Ezekiel Elliott, 12 carries and 31 yards. Are you kidding me? And then you get Elijah Mitchell, 27 carries, 96 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I just listen, if you're a Cowboys fan, how do you back up Zeke Elliott? How do you back him up? How do you continue to say that he's our running back? He's our RB1. I don't see it. I know Pollard didn't, get as many carries, but I don't see how you can and you already paid him, which is the sad part. They already paid Zeke Elliott. So like they got to keep him. Like I feel like with that guy, Ezekiel Elliott, what he did was he got paid his money, and I don't want to say he quit, but he got too comfortable with where he was and how he was performing. And I think that if you are, the Cowboys, you got to have a long talk. Is it him? Is it the O-line? Is it the play calling? Is it Kellen Moore? What's happening? It doesn't look like anything that, on the surface of what we're seeing as fans. Like, this just doesn't look like it's going to be playing out. It's almost like he's becoming a Saquon Barkley kind of, type of running back. Big name, big money, big contract, very little production, not a lot of results. So I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you got to look yourself dead in the eye and say, Jerry Jones, is Zeke worth it? Is Zeke worth it? And if he's not, what do we do? Because this is looking very, very bad. And I have no idea what they would do. I don't know. I just feel like he might have lost his desire to love football. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I think that he might be losing his love for football. I don't know. I truly don't know. But other than that, it was a great game. Entertaining to the wire. Turnovers. I thought that the Niners would have been closing it out earlier than they did. They just couldn't, though. Like, they couldn't get the breaks that they needed, like the 1 yard line. The fourth down towards the end. I thought that they got it, but they didn't get it. A couple of dumb plays at the end by the Cowboys, like running the ball. I forget the name of the play, but it's like he just ran the ball up the middle and was like trying to slide down and get enough time to, spike it and run one more play to hopefully try to win the game, but that didn't happen. I mean, like, we can blame the ref and be like it was a ref show, like towards the end. But dude, I mean, the play that they called running up the middle was with Dak, and then taking a slide, and then just hoping they get the spike off in time. It's just like, it was such a stupid gamble. It's like, oh, I hope we can do it. I hope we can, get it all done. It's like, what? No, like, I just feel like in that situation, running the ball that far is taking so much time off the clock. You have no timeouts. You have to spike the ball. And what was dumb was, like, those Cowboy players that were just, getting the ball to the spot were like, no, now that I know, before putting out that tweet and blaming the refs, I now know that the ref has to touch the ball before they actually hike the ball, you put the ball in play, as you would say, which I did not know. And I was just like, wow, I didn't know that. That's a new rule that I did not know. Maybe they should brush up on the rules more in these meetings, because that just looks immature. That just looks very stupid. And that just, I could not believe it. But that's what happened. And it's tough. But it was a good game. It was entertaining and it was fun. And it's what you wanted, right? And with that game. When the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys meet, I mean, they don't meet that much, even though that they got a good rivalry. It's an iconic rivalry, apparently. It's got a good uniform matchup. It's pretty cool to watch, the games. It's I think it lived up to the hype, though. With the fact that Jimmy G almost blew it, but Mike McCarthy just saved the day. Like, no, I'm going to blow it. I'm going to blow it for my team. And that's just, that's just how that game went down. Also, I've been hearing things about, like, criticizing not only Mike McCarthy, but Kellen Moore in this game. And I guess, like, people were saying, like, I don't know why people think so highly of Kellen Moore. Like, why is he so looked up as like the best coordinators, one of the best coordinators in the league? And I gotta say, I agree with that, because with the people that he has on his offense, like Dak, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, you name it, Dalton Schultz, Amari Cooper. I mean, like, he's got a good offense. Like, they got good players there. They just couldn't get it done. I just, like, you question the play calling, especially from Kellen Moore, and how that all went down. And maybe that was something that he just didn't have it in it for him. Maybe it was a lot of pressure. Maybe he just didn't prepare enough. I don't know. But there was rumors of saying, like, Mike McCarthy's just a placeholder. They really want to get Kellen Moore to be the head coach, because they're like, Jerry wanted to groom him up and to make him the head coach, because that's just what he did. He did that with Jason Garrett as well, with Bill Parcells, I think. But yeah, that was a good game though. It was one of the closer games, the closest game I think in the Super Wild Card, because if the Cowboys went down and scored, kick a field goal, they win. They're in, which would have been happy for me, but, that's just not the way the cookie crumbles. Moving on, the Monday night game, my game, the Cardinals and the Rams. The Rams beat the Cardinals 34-11. Perfect game in my opinion. Perfect fucking game. Excellent. What I've always wanted to see. I mean, you get Matthew Stafford balling, efficiently balling, actually. 13 for 17, 202 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sony Michel, 13 carries, 58 yards. Cooper Kupp, 61 yards, 5 receptions, and 1 touchdown. But the game should go to Odell Beckham Jr., who absolutely went off in this game. I mean, just went off. He became OBJ again. And it was so much fun to see, because there's been, talks of, like, he's declining. He's not that good anymore. He can't mesh well with quarterbacks, his dad and all that, blah, blah, blah. But, man, I mean, this guy, Odell Beckham, 4 receptions, 54 yards, a touchdown. And then he had a couple good receptions as well. But he also threw it for a touchdown for 40 yards to Cam Akers, who was also brilliant as well. I mean, listen, I know we don't have Darrell Henderson, but with Sony Michel and Cam Akers, who are all actually, pretty damn good players if you remember them in college. I mean, this is a solid running core. I enjoy it. This is good. As for the Cardinals, what happened? I truly don't know. I mean, you got Kyler Murray going for 19 for 34, 137 yards, and 2 interceptions. I mean, some of those interceptions were like, you never see those unless you're playing Madden. And this is just, you're just getting so unlucky in Madden. But, it just, I don't know if it's Cliff Kingsbury, if it's Kyler Murray, like, what's happening there in that organization. And it truly, you scratch your head, because they were doing so well at the beginning of the season. They were beating the Rams. They were like 7-0, I think, at one point. Then they just kind of like faded away. They just kind of like, squandered it, and then just kind of fizzled out, and never were really at that, same quality that they were at the beginning. I don't know if it's because of like the season is so much longer, and like it's even longer now today than it ever has been. But, is Kyler hurt? I know that they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. He got, a torn ACL, so that's a big loss there. But they did have J.J. Watt back, so I don't know. Like, the offense really was very incompetent, and like had no sense of like, oh, we've been doing this the entire year. It's like they felt like a new offense, like they've never played together before, and I just thought that it was so, very uncharacteristic. But it's been happening for a couple weeks now. I mean, they lost to the Lions, for Christ's sakes, a month ago or so. So, I mean, like, this has been, on a downtread for maybe a month or so. Maybe even more. I don't even know. But it's been on a downtread. And you just, you wonder. You think that, how much time does Cliff Kingsbury have? Because this has happened twice now, where he's got, solid starts. Everything looks good. and then just kind of implodes towards the end and just, doesn't make any very much of an impact. When we always talk about, he's got Kyler Murray, he's got DeAndre Hopkins. He's calling smart plays. He's coaching well. Kyler's playing well, and then it just all goes to shit. I mean, you can't help but just kind of question and just think that maybe that's just not. It's not the perfect marriage that Cliff or the Cardinals thought that it would be. Maybe it's just not right. Maybe Kyler needs a better coach. Maybe he needs a better coach to coach to what he's actually capable of. And maybe Cliff needs a different team. I don't know. Maybe it's just not a good fit. But it can't just be that, because they always have stellar starts. And you play pretty good football. So I don't know. I'm just confused because this happened already twice now. But let's not take it away from the Rams actually playing very, very well as in this game. It just, everything was working. Matthew Stafford didn't throw a pick. He was efficient. Didn't throw for that many yards, not many attempts either, but it's what needed to be done. That defensive pick 6 on Kyler, it was incredible. That really kind of ensured us oh, we're going to win this game. We got this, because they can't do anything, and we're doing just enough, which also kind of frightens me, because now we're going to move on to next week in the divisional round. Is going to be crazy. Let's go through the games. All right, so now we're talking divisional games next week, this Saturday and Sunday. 2 more weekends, or another weekend full of football. I can't wait. We got Bengals-Titans. Who do I think is going to win this game? Let me think. Well, the Titans are the number 1 seed in the AFC, whether you like it or not. That's just how it is. I'm going to pick the Titans, though. I think that the Titans are the safer pick, even though I'm not a betting man. I think that the Titans are just a little bit more experienced, got a little bit more veterans on that squad. They got a better coach, I think, in Mike Vrabel. I think that Tannehill will do, the bare minimum and get it all done. And I think that the Titans for sure win this game. I mean, the Bengals are fun to watch, and they're good for football. In the terms of who are the best teams, and they're making the case that they're actually a good team. But I still think that the Titans, Mike Vrabel, Ryan Tannehill, just more experience, more, they know what they're going into. And I think they got a better chance than the Bengals do. 49ers Packers. Oof. Listen, I know that the 49ers got a good team. They have a really, really good team. The team that grinds, a team that never stops fighting, a team that just kind of goes. From Jimmy G to Deebo Samuel to Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, all those boys. With Kyle Shanahan, may I elaborate more? And the Packers, they got Rodgers, they got Aaron Jones, they have Devontae Adams, they have Alan Lazard. They got Matt LaFleur as their head coach, but I honestly think Kyle Shanahan just owns Matt LaFleur. And the 49ers kind of just own the Packers. For the past decade, I think. Maybe not a couple years ago. Maybe before, maybe not, maybe, let me think. Before Shanahan and after Harbaugh, no. But, with Harbaugh and with Shanahan, the 49ers have owned the Packers. So I think that it's only right, and I know that it's in Lambeau. I get that. But I just think that whatever happens with Aaron Rodgers facing the 49ers, it just never goes well. And it's always the worst performance that he's ever had against this team. I just feel like it's going to be the same old. I'm taking the 49ers. And I don't want to say that because for future complications, future things that I'll get to, which is the next game. Rams versus the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Listen, I have a lot of confidence in Matthew Stafford. I truly, truly do. But last week when they played the Cardinals, they played a pretty broken team. They played a broken team that didn't really have a rhythm, didn't have a swagger, didn't really have an identity as, offense goes. Truly couldn't do anything on offense. The Buccaneers can do pretty much anything they want on offense. Anything that they want. They have Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Ronald Jones, Scotty Miller, Rob Gronkowski. They got it all. They have Vita Vea. They got a solid defense too. So offensively, this is going to be a shootout, I believe. I think that the Rams have trended upwards. They have gotten good production out of their offense lately. The 1-2 punch with Sony Michel and Cam Akers has been awesome to watch. This actually might be more closer than we think. But because I'm biased, I'm going with the Rams. I hope the Rams. I truly, truly hope the Rams. But I'm just scared that because the Buccaneers are just so put together and they're so composed. They make football like a job. Like they're so professional at it. It's just business with those guys. From Bruce Arians to Todd Bowles to Byron Leftwich, Tom Brady, they're just business when it comes to football. Whereas we are trying to make it that and still have fun. But the thing is, I think that McVay has a little too much fun sometimes and loses his discipline, and that's what costs us games sometimes. So if we cannot do that, if we can get serious McVay and serious everybody else, and we have Von Miller, we have Aaron Donald, we have Jalen Ramsey, we have the team and the defense to compete with these guys and to hopefully rush Tom Brady and beat him. We have enough, I believe, but I wouldn't put it past the Buccaneers though. They're a great team. They are a great team. I don't care if they just beat the Eagles last week. Those were the Eagles. This is the Rams, but this is going to be a tough game. But I'm pulling for the Rams because I'm a Rams fan, so I got to be kind of biased on that. Next game, final game, Bills versus Chiefs. Ooh. I don't think that the Chiefs. No. That would be stupid to say. The Chiefs are a good team. After last week against the Steelers, going an entire quarter scoreless, not really doing that much. I think that if they get it to us, I think that if they have a slow start, and the Bills jump on them, it might be it'll be a shootout. I think this game's going to be an actual shootout, between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and their offenses. I just feel like their defenses are not going to be good enough to stop either team's offense, and I just feel like this is going to be a high-scoring game, shootout game. It's not going to be in Buffalo, so it's not going to be super cold. So it's going to be more of a let's go all in because we don't have any weather implications, trying to hold us back. So let's just go all in on it. And so I'm gonna pick the Bills though. I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs will start slow. The Bills won't, so that's gonna put them in the lead. And I think that the Chiefs will not have enough to overcome what the Bills throw at them. So I'm gonna take the Bills on that game. So my picks are to win are Titans, 49ers, Rams, and Bills. Which, if this does happen, will mean we would have to face the Niners, and then the Titans would have to face the Bills. So, we'll see. But yeah, those are my predictions. That's what I think is going to happen on Sunday. Can't wait for Sunday. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a great day full of 2 days full of football. Cannot wait. I'm excited. And that's going to be it for today's episode, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. If you want to support the podcast, if you want to do me a huge favor, you can go to Apple Podcast and Spotify and YouTube as well. Search The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Give it a listen. Give it a like. Give it a share. Rate and review. That always helps. And spread the word. Share the link. Do whatever you want to do. Hopefully Microsoft doesn't buy those two companies either. That's definitely who knows if they buy, Spotify or anything else like that. Apple. I mean, that would be a shocker, right? They've already bought this podcast, so they're coming for everybody. So, you might want to, count your coins for that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next week.